is a shrimp. I don't like trap games with my...
Greetings from Castle Goring, from Nikki, Aurora, and from me. Well. Lots of drama, lots of excitement has been happening. And before getting there, though, I'm going to read out a question that I would like you to give me your opinion on. It's nothing controversial, it's very personal. Scarlett Bell says, there have been some of us that have never seen your tiara. Could you wear it one day on one of your days of videos so we can see it? Thank you for all you do. Well, to those of you who are not members, I wore my favourite tiara on Tiara Day, which was on Friday. And if you would like to see it, and sufficient of you want to see it, I will wear it again. Okay? But I'd like to know that sufficient people want me to wear it. Otherwise, I'm not going to wear it again. Sorry. Now, Barbara Enns says, Lady C, did you see that the World Health Organization treaty didn't pass? I've been following that ever since you did your podcast months ago. I certainly saw it, and this is an extremely important thing. And I am delighted there was no agreement reached for the World Health Organization to decree how the world should function in the event of a pandemic. They have tried to sow consternation and terror in everybody's hearts, but people were terrified as to the right thing, which isn't the consequences of a pandemic, but the consequences of living a life where you have the World Health Organization, a totally non-elected body, nobody ever voted for them, being able to shut the world down, because there is now amongst intelligent people a consensus that the last pandemic was handled extremely destructively, and that it will take a generation for the damage that was wrought not only to the economy, but to the social fabric, especially with regards to the young. It will take several years for the world to recover from it. It turns out that Sweden and Boris Johnson and others who I'm not even going to mention because the controversy will be so acute in the United States of America. But the fact of the matter is that we should never have handled the pandemic the way we did. It became a massive money-making, power-enhancing exercise to not only feather people's nests and give power to those who sought it on the back of the pandemic. And so I am delighted that the little contribution that I was able to make might have had a slight effect. Maybe it had no effect, but we tried, and I certainly made a nuisance of myself. I wrote, everybody of consequence in this country who I thought would be able to do something constructive, And I encouraged people to write, and I know an awful lot of people all over the world did write to their elected representatives. And fortunately, we have prevailed. There is no agreement, as there should not have been. Only a fool gives power to power-hungry people. We have, as a civilization, have fought long and hard for the civil rights and liberties which we possess, and it does not behoove us to forget the lessons of history and to surrender to ambitious people our rights in the hope that they will be benevolent. They never are. They never are. Power-crazed people love power. That's one of the flaws of our present civilization, that we are governed by people who do not have the interests of the nation or of the people at heart, but they are a political class that has their own political interests at heart. On both sides of the Atlantic, we have begun to become aware of the fact that we are facing a supreme challenge, and that naivety and false hope have no place in our thinking. What we need is hard-headed practicality and realism. So, to return to rather more frivolous matters, Julie Howman is but one of a multitude of people who wrote in similar terms, and so I thought I'd just read out one that seemed to be fairly representative and sort of tick all the boxes, or at least some. Dear Lady C, greetings and salutations. Greetings and salutations to you too, Julie Howman. I'm unsure if you have heard the scathing rebuke of Meghan by the Nigerian First Lady, but it was a very public rejection of Meghan as a trendsetter and as being part Nigerian. Do you think this was done in a bid to save face and be in good standing with the king? Or was it the very real disdain and ire over the blatant disregard for the country's moral code and decorum? The First Lady was also addressing the, quote, beautiful young women of Nigeria who should take pride in themselves and not parade around half naked, end of quotes. Oh, well, yes, this has been a hot topic in the last day or two. But if you remember, during the visit, I said that I had been told by people in Nigeria that Meghan's conduct had gone down like a lead balloon, and that she had created lots of ire and really problems behind the scenes, and people were outraged at her conduct. Well, now you see the living evocation of the outrage that many, in fact, I understand most women in Nigeria felt about Meghan's conduct. Now, we need to remember that Meghan is all for change, and She-Ra, rebel princess. We've got to believe in change. Change for its own sake is good. So Meghan disrespects tradition. It's in my book. It's in the original version, and it's in the updated version, Meghan and Harry, the real story, persecutors or victims. She sets out to undermine tradition, traditional values. She likes creating havoc and causing trouble. This is actually a blessing in disguise, because let's see how encouraged other nations are going to be to host this troublemaker who, according to my information, Nigerian women were saying dresses like a slut and acts like a store, except it doesn't begin with ST, it begins with whoa. I'm not going to go there. No. Traditional values require modesty, and Nigeria is a traditional society, and Meghan lit a match where the young generation would be concerned, because they want to parade around semi-naked. Now, I get it. When I was 18, 19, 20, 21, I used to like parading around semi-nude. I mean, this was in the late 60s, early 70s, and in those days, it was quite a drama to appear in a body stocking and in hot pants. Oh, I had a wonderful lace outfit, hot pants, and it looked as if I was nude, but in fact, I was totally modest. But nowadays, it's become too extreme, and really, the First Lady of Nigeria, her name is Senator Oluremi Tinubu. She was speaking at an event celebrating the woman, and she made some really important points deliberately. And people are saying, and she mentioned Meghan by name, and she, in her comment about Meghan, which I'll get to in a while, there's a duality to it. It's not specifically critical of Meghan, but by mentioning Meghan's name and the fact that women should not be cavorting around semi-nude, she was giving a very stern, strong message. And I'm going to read out some of what she says. We have to salvage our children. We see the way they dress. We are not having the Met Gala. And everyone, the nakedness is just everywhere, and the men are well clothed. So we have to do something. I'm going to stop right there and say that a concern amongst mature women, and when I say mature, I mean over the age of 25 or 30, is that there is a tendency amongst the young to not only dress immodestly, but disrespectfully, provocatively, and that they are letting themselves down because they are dressing like sluts. They are saying, look at me, unsheathe your sword, and penetrate. And that's not going down well in a society that is half Muslim, half devotedly Christian. So let me continue with what she said. And everyone, the nakedness is just everywhere and the men are well clothed. So we have to do something. Tell them we don't accept nakedness in our culture. That is not beautiful. It's not beautiful at all. Well, of course, had Meghan had any dignity, had she not been advertising her wares, and I don't blame her for advertising her wares because they've certainly got her from as the starting point to where she is now, and they've certainly paid off big time. But she continued, Senator Tinubu continued, and she's now referring to Nigerian women, they do not want to mimic and try to emulate film stars from America. Now, if that's not a direct dig at Meghan, aside from mentioning her name, I don't know what else is. They don't know where they come from. They're all beautiful girls, but they should be confident in who they are. They keep forgetting that Nigeria, we are beautiful. You can see what they showcase on the stage. I said, we are fashionable. We see what is going on. Then she says, why did Meghan come here looking for Africa? That is something we have to take home with us. We know who we are. Don't lose who you are. Well, that is a double entendre. In fact, it's most likely a triple entendre. Because on the one hand, it certainly introduces Meghan's name in a reprimand, and Meghan is the only person whose name she mentions, and Meghan is the only person who has been cavorting around semi-nude recently on a national stage, in fact on an international stage. So on the one hand, she could be saying, well, Meghan has come to reclaim her roots, and we don't want her to think that we dress like sluts and behave like stores, beginning with WH. That's one interpretation. Another interpretation is, and she's clever to have done it the way she did, because she made the point very forcefully using Meghan, roping in her the semi-nude Hollywood stars. Well, Meghan was never a Hollywood star, but she'd like us to consider her as having been one. So that's almost flattering to the D-list ensemble player from a cable television series. But why did she come? She came to connect with her roots, and we, the Nigerian women who behave like a Meghan and dress like Meghan, like sluts, and cavorting around like stores, beginning with WH, are letting her down as well as ourselves, because she came to connect with her roots, and those roots are of modesty, decency, and behaving in a manner that is dignified. So, she then continued, "We know who we are. Don't lose who you are. When mothers stand with you, the house is in order. Looking ahead, we must endeavour to become the unifying force in our homes and our communities, to bring about greater prosperity for our nation. To all our mothers here today and to those who have supported and keep touching our lives in countless ways, I say thank you. Thank you for your love, strength, and unending sacrifices." So she's distinguishing between two sorts of women: those who are modest and do not cavort around semi-nude, but cover themselves in vestments that are appropriate to decent womanhood. And then you have Meghan and Met Gala, semi-nude, and Hollywood stars who are cavorting around like sluts and stores beginning with WH. I don't think she could have said it any more appropriately than she did, and I'm not surprised that she said it. She is a force in her own right. She's not only married to the president, but she is a senator. It is like Andrew and Juliet Holness in Jamaica. He is the prime minister and she is the leader of the House of Representatives. These women are powerful. They understand the power of womanhood, and they understand that to be a truly powerful woman, you don't cavort around like a store beginning with WH and looking as if you are a bitch on heat begging for relief. So I think that answers the question. And this is a very interesting name. Anoha Charles Schlosser says, "Lady C, I am so upset that I am beginning to believe the conspiracy theory on the Princess of Wales. I can't throw away the thoughts. My dear, please discard them. We went through something similar a year ago and 2 years ago with Princess Charlene of Monaco, who was in robust good health at the Monaco Grand Prix this last weekend. I know because I know people who saw her, and indeed my children were there. So I just make that point for what it's worth. There's no need to disturb yourself. That the conspiracy theories are preposterous. They fill content with content creators who have no respect for accuracy, proportion, or the truth. TZM says, "Hi, Lady C, why are you talking about Harry when everybody is worried about Catherine?" Well, I'll tell you why I'm not speaking that much about Catherine, because I have an insight into what Catherine is going through and what she wants. And she wants to be left alone in peace to battle for her health and hopefully emerge later this year fit to be representative of the sort of woman playing the role that she wants to play in the way she wants to play it. The woman has dignity. The woman has self-respect. She's a good-looking woman, and she does not want to be, and she doesn't want pity. She doesn't want pity. She's not Meghan. Meghan wants pity for everything. She doesn't want pity. She's got too much self-respect to want pity. I think we should give her a break and understand that these conspiracy theories are utter madness, the height of irresponsibility. We went through with them just with the other day with Princess Charlene, and also Meghan and Harry are filling the gap. They are fully aware of the fact that Catherine is out of circulation for a while, and they are making hay while the sun shines, because this, as somebody said to me who knows Meghan well, this is her opportunity to run up to the mic and say, oh, I'm beautiful, I'm glamorous, I'm royal, concentrate on me. Yvonne Hancock says, Dear Lady C, have you seen Her Royal Highness Catherine, or do you have any information on our beautiful princess? Many thanks. Yes, I do. I'm going to spell it out quite clearly. She is naturally thin. She is an ectomorph. She never had a great, she was definitely never had the need to lose a pound. She didn't have a pound to lose, but she's lost a lot of weight, as everybody does when they are having chemotherapy. She also has the terrible side effects of chemotherapy. Why would I be speaking about her needlessly? But do I have information? Yes. They are trying to go about their lives in as positive and as harmonious and in as life-enhancing a way as possible. She and William have 3 young children to consider as well. They don't need all of the speculation. And anything I know that I know they would not want me to be repeating, I'm not going to repeat. It's as simple as that. I didn't do it with the Queen when I knew she was dying of bone cancer. I did hint. I said that Harry and Meghan had affected her to her bones. I said it repeatedly. Well, I'm going to hint. Meghan is taking full advantage of Catherine's absence to grab the limelight, and that's fine because Catherine, well, it's not really fine, but it's to be expected. And Catherine is, on the other hand, putting first things first. Her health, her well-being, her dignity, her family. She's not a performing seal. I think we should just respect the fact that she has problems that require a lengthy treatment process and will also, as a result of that, keep her out of the public eye. And I'm not going to predict. I know that there has been recently from a very respected source, Tom Sachs in the Daily Beast, that she's out of circulation pretty much till the end of the year. Well, this is the middle of the year. And, you know, as many people who've had cancer will tell you, it's not always a quick and easy fix. And sometimes it takes months, sometimes it takes a year, sometimes it takes 2 years for you to actually get back onto your feet. And I think that's it. I hope that's an update that I can give you and answer the question in as conscionable a way as possible. And beyond that, I'm afraid we need to remember curiosity killed the cat. And just remember Princess Charlene. She's back, she's healthy, and there were all sorts of crazy rumors about her as well. Okay? Sandy Wild says, I am personally fed up to my back teeth with the excuses for King Charles for his inability to locate his spine. They allowed that harlot to slither across their threshold, aided and abetted in the Invisikids, and I'm not going to use the word. I'm going to say speculation instead. I'm not using the word. The more I know, the more I am a Republican supporter. If they can't remove titles, they are basically useless. Well, Sandy Wild, you're welcome to your opinion. You're certainly not the only person who feels like that. I have tried to point out time and again, and I'm going to do it again. Well, you can't expect the king to do things that are beyond his possibilities. If you have a broken leg, are you going to go to a restaurant and order food and expect the waiter to fix it? No. Why would you expect the king to strip Harry of a peerage that by law he's not allowed to do? Unless Harry is stripped of his peerage and his princely rank at the same time, it would be a totally ridiculous thing for the king to do. It would be inviting further controversy and create a whole new set of problems. You think that you want a republic because the king will not do something he can't by law do? Well, let me put it this way. I think for all the problems we're having in this country with one joke of a government after the other, we at least have a head of state and have had the previous head of state who have had worldwide respect. I don't think you can say the same for most of the republics that are in the news nowadays. So, as the Jamaicans say, you want to swap black dog for monkey? Please feel free and go ahead. So, I'm not trying to make light of your concerns, but I am trying to point out to you that you cannot reasonably regard the king as being spineless because he cannot perform brain surgery because he's not a doctor. And he's a king, and being a king, he can't strip someone of a peerage. It's as simple as that. Ewing Shannon says, the king's public indifference to the Harkles BS is working for the royal family. I have read this and I'm going to read it because I think it's absolutely true and sound. According to Sun Tzu's Art of War, quote unquote, he will win when he knows when to fight and when not to fight. That's right. The king can't fight battles that he shouldn't fight, and he certainly can't fight battles that he can't fight. And also, it would be extremely irresponsible of the king or of any government at this point, with an election coming up and the turmoil we have had in this country politically in the last year or two, to do something that would be divisive. A wise general chooses his battleground carefully. The battleground itself can make a difference as to victory or defeat, as Napoleon discovered to his cost, because Napoleon did not choose the battleground at Waterloo. He was forced into fighting on soggy ground chosen by the Duke of Wellington, and his troops got stuck in the mud, literally. But for that, he might well have won Waterloo. In fact, instead of it, he met his Waterloo. Too white for Coke says, some of these names. Dear Lady C, my question is, Harry stated in his War book that while in an Apache helicopter, he set the guns on King Charles III's vehicle, and how easy it would be to pull the trigger and eliminate King Charles III. Why hasn't Harry been tried for treason? He hasn't been tried for treason because he didn't commit treason. Charles was not the king, and therefore to imagine the king's death could not be a crime. And that crime goes back to the days of Henry VIII. And I don't think it would actually cut much mustard nowadays. So he wasn't tried for, he being Harry, wasn't tried for the crime of treason because he didn't commit treason. What he did commit was gross disrespect and letting himself down by actually including such a crazy druggie out to lunch. Well, absolutely just mad statement in his book. Under the Radar says, Lady C, perhaps the reason people are asking for an update is because you had said something was going to happen around Easter time. You then said it had to be postponed, but something would be happening to take the Harkles down a peg or two. I am paraphrasing. The various points you have made in this video are general and uncoordinated, not as the impression you had given of one event. My guess has been that it would come from Buckingham Palace, so I'm sure others were expecting some kind of announcement also, not complaining, only explaining. Under the Radar is alluding which I'm sure many of you will know, to the fact that I said that Harry and Meghan were going to be getting their comeuppance and that things would be happening that they would be getting their comeuppance. But I'm going to answer it by reading out partly this as well, and then I'll answer it fully. Quart Y1 says, instead of patience, it is perspective that is required when considering the state of Harry and Meghan's reputation worldwide. They married 6 years ago in 2018 to a fanfare of celebration worldwide. The world was at their feet with press and public adulation. 2024, despised in the UK, maligned around the world and ostracised. Their charity Archewell called into question with little donations for good. Selling jam without the Jerusalem. The only redeeming element now is Invictus, and if Meghan continues to slime all over it, that too will be lost. 6 years, that's all it has taken for them to self-sabotage and self-combust. Quite spectacular when you think about it. Thank you very much for that. That is one of many comments I get along those lines. So there are people who are fully aware of the fact that Harry and Meghan are self-destructing before our very eyes. In case you didn't think that they then get assistance despite the mainstream media reporting favourably, look at the First Lady of Nigeria's complete teardown of Meghan, because if Meghan is not totally humiliated by that, she isn't even a human being. The reason why people think that Harry and Meghan have not been getting their comeuppance is because it's not coming as one big knockout blow. Well, the ground is being laid, and may I say, was partly laid by my book, the update of my book as well. The ground has been laid for people, the public, to ask questions and make demands of the powers that be, to clear up mysteries. You know, if you want to shoot clay pigeons, I can give you the clay pigeon gun, but you've got to pull the trigger, and you're the one who has to take aim, and you're the one who has to take part in the skeet shooting. I don't think you can expect that I should not only give you the gun, and not only me, but other people, give you the gun, tell you the clay pigeons are going to come from the right, so look out in that direction. And then you object to the fact that, excuse me, you haven't shot my clay pigeons for me. But that's not what skeet shooting is all about, and that's not what life is all about. And if I said things that have led people to come to mistaken conclusions, I can only apologize for that. I thought I was making things quite clear I use the language very carefully, as those of you who follow me will know. And I thought I made it very clear that Harry and Meghan were going to be exposed and that they would be having their comeuppance. I didn't say they were going to be eradicated or annihilated. You want to eradicate them from public life? You, the public, need to start to nobble the powers that be until there is a groundswell of public demand for Harry and Meghan to be retired from public life. It's not going to happen. I hope that makes my analysis of this situation clear. I think the one thing that I hope I can do is provide insight into what's happening, why it's happening, and what the possible solutions can be. But it's not realistic to expect a cataclysmic denouement. That will only come about either by accident or through criminality. I try to make that clear. If I have failed to make it clear, I apologize for that. And in the meantime, there is much that we can do. One of the things that we can do and have been doing is calling them out on each and every antic. Do you think the president of Nigeria's wife would have been quite as willing to give Meghan the dressing down that she has given her if she didn't know that A, the women of Nigeria want it, and B, that there is tremendous support for it within the public domain, within all over the world. And since where do you think she gets the insight that the public will support her in something like this? It's not from the mainstream media, who have covered the visit as if it were a roaring success, and ridiculous publications, even fashion magazines, even supposedly respectable publications like the Telegraph and various American magazines have been trying to sing Meghan's stylish praises, notwithstanding the fact that it was obvious that she was disrespecting her hosts in the most reprehensible way. How did the president's wife know this? Because she also has access to social media, and it's your comments, people like me and you, who have, with using our voices, have empowered her in a way that she might have hesitated to behave had she not known that she was going to have widespread support, not only within Nigeria, but all over the world. and that nobody was going to think less of her, that people would think more of her. So I hope that answers the question and clarifies the issue, at least for the moment. And on that note, I will say thank you very much for listening. I hope this has been of some interest to you. If it has, please keep the questions and comments coming in so I will know what you would like us to be speaking about. Okay? Thank you. Godspeed. And if you have truly enjoyed this, would you care to like, share, subscribe, press the notification bell, and take good care. Bye-bye.